After I finished the SAT, I felt pretty good, cautiously good, because I had prepared a lot for the grammar section, and I was most worried about that, but those turned out to be easier than the practices that I did, so that let out a lot of the load from my shoulders, just knowing that that part wasn't terrible. But also, I felt kind of nervous because like the fact that I just took the SAT and the fact that that was probably the only one I'd be able to take for a while, since I had other things that clashed with the dates of the other SATs. And so a lot of mix of feelings after I took the SAT. On the day that it came out, Valentine's Day, I actually had a lot of homework the day before. And so I woke up feeling extremely groggy. But then I got up and somewhere in my mind it clicked that, hey, SAT scores are up, I should probably take a look. And so I kind of crawled out of bed, and it took me a couple guesses to get my password. But once I got in, I saw my score, and I didn't quite believe it at first, because I don't know, once in a while a dream would pop up telling me that I had butchered the SAT or something, and so it felt like one of those. But after I kind of came to terms with the fact that I did get a full score, I was really happy, and I went down, ran downstairs, woke my parents, and they were really tired too, but they're great about putting that aside to be happy for me. So first, I started by taking a TestMasters course over the summer, because I wanted to do all I could to make sure that I was prepared for it. And basically, the things that helped the most was practice. So even if you learn all these strategies and techniques from TestMasters, it won't really help unless you try to apply them in a meaningful way. So what I really liked was Exam Club, where I could go in and basically do a ton of practice tests in an environment where I could actually focus, as opposed to practicing at home where I have a lot of distractions. And so practice was the big thing in terms of preparation for me. I would run through a ton of grammar sections, just running through, for example, the find errors section, which I had the most problems with. I would just run through those as many as I could over and over to try to get myself in the mindset for that kind of question. The two things that I like most about TestMasters were, first, I really like the teachers because they're extremely engaging. They did a lot to grab your attention because, it's in the evening and everyone's tired and no one really wants to do SAT practice, but they were really great about capturing our attention, enticing us with candy and pizza and such, and also, along the way, giving us some tidbits of SAT info. And so the teachers were really good. Also, Exam Club was extremely useful in basically motivating me to practice and study, because normally when I'm at home, I have food, I have TV, I have lots of things that I'd much rather be doing than SAT. And so going to Exam Club helped put me in a room with a lot of other studious people, all doing SAT practice tests, and it's hey, why not? And so that basically gave me the motivation to do the practice that I needed. If you're taking the SAT soon, I would suggest, first of all, trying to hammer out the things that you're bad at with a couple practice tests. And so it becomes a lot easier when you're focusing on what you have trouble with, as opposed to just taking the test over and over and hoping that things improve. And so after a couple times, I found out that the finding errors part of the grammar was my weakest spot. And so after I found that, you can start doing a ton of practice on that part, just to at the very least get yourself comfortable, but also to get yourself used to the kind of problems and the kinds of errors that they have on there, so that you know basically the problem when you see it, and it becomes a lot easier. My parents actually ask me about this a lot, but even though I'm applying for college next year, I generally don't really have a very fixated path for my future. I do have a lot of interest, mostly in sciences, not all of which necessarily translate into a career, but I do have a lot of interest, and I'm still trying to pick out between them. The two most likely career paths that I'm thinking about are in medicine and engineering, all of which are really interesting to me and fields that I can imagine myself immersing myself in. But I could also find a middle path and do biomedical engineering or something like that. But as of now, the future's still open. I still feel like I need some time to digest what I want to do for the rest of my life.